You gotta be fucking kidding me.
Okay, welcome back to another Resident Evil 7 DLC video. Today we're going to be looking at the DLC called Nightmare. This is a very different DLC compared to Bedroom. Completely different style, completely different focus. Now I've had some time to sit and play with DLCs again. They all have a single focus. Each of those focuses being like a key element to the Resident Evil games, which I've kind of noticed from playing them all again, which is super interesting. I'll talk about that more in a minute. But this is Nightmare. Essentially, the story of this one is Clancy is thrown into the basement of the Baker house and left there to kind of die to the molded. And he ain't taking a sitting down, so he is using all of the machines around him to build weapons and ammo and survive the night. Essentially, you kind of play through 5 rounds of molded and other things, which is essentially an hour of the night, and then you have to fight your way all the way to 5 AM when you beat the DLC. Obviously, you know, we all know what happens to Clancy, so he doesn't technically get away, but you do beat the DLC. So, today we're going to be going over what the kind of style of DLC this is, how good it is, how it compares to the Bedroom DLC, and just kind of overall going over it in general. So if you like this DLC, let me know in the comments. If you like the video, helps out a lot. And if you're interested in more Resident Evil content, I upload every single day and stream my weekends, so do drop a subscribe, and let's go. So a brief rundown on how the Nightmare DLC works and its focus. Now, in the Bedroom DLC, your focus was puzzle solving and doing things by memory and kind of just figuring things out as you went. And puzzles are a big aspect in the Resident Evil games, more noticeably in the originals, in 7, and then briefly, very briefly, in Village. That is kind of one of the Village's weakest points, is the puzzles. They're all quite easy or brute forceable. But 1 to 3 and then 7, there is some pretty taxing puzzles, I would say. But this takes a whole different direction from Bedroom DLC. Your main kind of focus in this DLC is to be very resourceful of your inventory. This is again a big aspect of the Resident Evil games. More specifically, 1 to 3, a bit of 4, 5 and 6, not really, they're kind of action games. 7, again, kind of back to basics with the inventory management, and 8, I guess the same as 4, because they're kind of vaguely the same game. But this has a huge focus on inventory management. Now, what happens is, there is around 3 machines, 2 that are accessible immediately, 1 that's behind a locked door. I think there's more somewhere, but I only ever use 3. What they do over time is fill up with salvage, and they go up in groups of 100 over, you know, a few minutes. They cap out at around 1,000, I believe. And picking this up is essentially your money to spend. And then what you'll do with this is, in the first room you start in, there is a workbench. This workbench can be used to make bullets, can be used to make healing, extra weapons if you feel it's needed. A knife, which is completely free, so you do have a knife. And each hour that goes by, which is essentially each wave of enemies, they get harder. More different molded types turn up. They are a lot more tanky, because the first round you can just pop the normal ones with 3 pistol bullets and a shotgun round, and they'll probably die. And you have to kind of, between these rounds, look at what weapons you have, how much steel or scrap you have, and go, right, okay, so I'm going to put this many points of steel into getting some handgun ammo. I'm going to get this many heals. I'm going to get this many shotgun shells, grenade launcher rounds. You know, you have to really think about it. Again, with this type of thing, because if you die, you do restart from the beginning. It can be more of a trial and error thing. Like, okay, this round, let's say round 3, I believe there's a couple of the fat moldeds in there, as well as some of the fast ones. Say you die there, and you go, okay, so using this many pistol rounds didn't work out, I'll put less money into the pistol and move over to the shotgun and get more shotgun rounds, because obviously the shotgun is very good against those quick enemies, the bastard spider moldeds that I can't stand because they're too fast, and you know, that'll take them out pretty quickly. Another thing that can be utilised in the arena is traps. There is a few traps. There is varying types of traps. There is wire traps, which kind of self-explanatory. You know, an enemy walks through a tripwire, it explodes and kills them. There is turrets that each use they upgrade, so they cost more each time you use them. There is neuro traps, which are essentially pressure plates that slow enemies to walk over them. Again, can be useful to get away if needed. And I believe from failing this DLC, again the high scores, you unlock bonus things that can be used in the runs. For example, a certain amount of score, you can get flame barrels that appear in the arena, which obviously you can shoot and they explode. You can get the burner, which is the flamethrower. You do get additional things to help you if you do kind of get a better score each time, which is very useful. And it adds a lot of replayability to it, as you can kind of mix up your methods and see what works better than other things. Another thing that happens in this DLC is, I believe it's hour 2 and hour 5, could be wrong, Jack spawns in, and you have to kill him, and he's not the easiest to take down. Obviously, he's a boss from the main game, so you wouldn't expect him to be easy. The first time you see him, he's kind of not too bad. He grabs you a bunch of times and kind of turns you around, but just guard and you'll probably get away. So it's not too bad, but the second time he comes through with his big like shear scissors he uses in the main game against Ethan in the basement. That can be difficult, not only because of him, but because unlike the first time you fight him, the molded don't despawn. So you have to be wary that there's going to be molded in there as well as him, which can be really rough on your ammo. My personal advice for the last hour is to try and focus the traps when Jack spawns in, and that can be difficult, that can be very difficult. It's all about kind of figuring out how to deal with enemies quickly and easily. There's multiple ways you could do it, and it's again all trial and error, but it is very much a resource management game. You have to kind of really pay attention where you're putting your money into, because once you're out of ammo, and these machines don't exactly fill up quickly, and the only way you get a big bonus is if you clear the hour, you can kind of screw yourself if you kind of fill and invest all your money into the wrong thing. So it's a big thinking game. It's not as easy as you think. Now, what else adds to the replayability of this mode is once you beat the normal Nightmare first, you unlock Nightmare Night Terror, and this is essentially a hard mode. What it does is the same kind of pattern plays out. You know, you're in the basement and it's 5 hours to get through, stuff like that. But enemies are harder, they're faster, the scrap builds up a lot slower, and obviously you're going to get hit harder as well. So this is where you really want to test things out in the normal mode before going into the Night Terror mode, because it is a lot harder. Not Ethan Must Die or Madhouse difficult, no way, but definitely harder than the original. Again, you know, try different methods, you know, try different builds, try investing more points into different weapons in terms of ammo, you know, try and save as much scrap between hours as you can. Try and keep the machines going and filling up to their maximum as much as you can. And, you know, just see what works for you. I'm sure there's plenty of videos out there that have cleared this and can show you an optimal strat. But, as I mentioned with the kind of the bedroom DLC, it does kind of apply here, at least to me. Try and figure out a way to beat it yourself first. Obviously, if that's not possible and you can't beat it, then there's no shame in looking up an easy way to do it. But one of the things that I like about this DLC is the fact that beating it is a task. It is not an easy feat. Even the normal mode isn't too easy. So when you do beat it, there's just this massive sense of accomplishment, especially if you've figured out a strat on your own. You know, maybe it's something different to what other people have done, you know? Like maybe there's a new idea you can throw out and say, oh, I beat Nightmare DLC in RE7, and I did it this way. I don't know if anyone else has done it this way, but this is how I did it. So, super cool. And again, with the Night Terror, again, same kind of principle, but a lot harder, so a different strategy would probably be necessary. But, again, a very different tone of DLC compared to Bedroom. So we'll compare the two now, and kind of briefly go over that. So again, Bedroom was a puzzle-focused DLC, and this is more of a resource management DLC. These are huge aspects in some of the mainline titles in the Resident Evil series, more specifically 1, 2, 3, 7, and a bit of 8 as well. And 4, 5 and 6, not really an issue. I would say 5, maybe 5 at times, especially on hard difficulties, but nowhere near as focused as 1, 2, 3, 7. Probably the most important ones for resource management. As I've mentioned, all of the DLCs in the banned footage kind of have a different tone to them. We'll go over kind of the examples of what they are now, just so that we're clear, and we'll talk about it in the next video. So Bedroom was puzzles, Nightmare is kind of resource management, Daughters is probably the more psychological horror tone. It's completely spooky. Like, there's no other way about it. It's just the scary DLC. And then 21 is quite unique compared to the others. It's a card game, you know? And again, I guess it takes a bit of figuring out, so you could say it's a puzzle. But it's math. It's math. That's all it is. So it's definitely cool to see like a different take. But 3 of the DLCs do kind of have those bigger tones of Resident Evil in them. And this is the second of those. Tomorrow we'll be covering the Daughters DLC, which I think is brilliant in terms of setting up the story for the Bakers and going into more horror aspects, which this game does so well. But yeah, this has been Nightmare. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you beat it. Let me know if you beat Night Terror. I'd love to hear someone's kind of strats on how they beat it, because I'm just interested to see how people did it. And yeah, like I said, we're covering all of the RE7 DLC this week. And then by the end of the week, we're going into more different video ideas I've been making up for the past couple of weeks now. So that'll be interesting to see how that does. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.